Welcome to the story of the Champions Cup here for you on TNT Sports, and what a year it's been. 24 teams who started this year with the sole purpose of climbing that European summit. We've had some unbelievable moments. We're going to look back at them in the great company of Brian O'Driscoll, Lawrence Delano. Lads, we've got a show to make. And whilst they make their way, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's coming up, we're going to look back at the best moments, their best tries, and some of the best performers over the next 60 minutes. So strap in, you won't want to miss this.
Right, Ronan.
Should I go? You good?
I don't speak French, but I can speak rugby.
Je ne parle pas africain, mais je peux parler rugby.
Ik praat niet Wallis niet, maar ik kan rugby praten.
Dydw i ddim yn siarad Ffrangeg, ond gallaf siarad rygbi.
And La Rochelle go back to back. Il Campiona. Et les Rochelais qui soulèvent ce trophée ici.
In any language,
In enige taal betekent dit, dans n'importe quelle langue,
this means the same thing.
Oui, where is it? Contemporary. Oh, Tanakhikai. It is rugby from another planet. Magnifique. Formidable. Williams. Oh, take a bow. C'est fini.
Ní gád an Francíse leabhar.
Nid oes angen i mi siarad Afrikaans.
I don't need to speak Welsh to understand what this means.
nécessite aucune traduction.
Futhi lokhu akudingi ukuthi olekwa.
Et nous parlons rugby.
Sikhuluma,
We speak rugby.
we speak rugby.
I don't speak great English, you'll have to bear with me over the next 60 minutes, but here's the format for this year's competition. We have 24 teams, 8 from the Gallagher Premiership, the top 14 and the URC, and they're split into 4 pools of 6. Teams play 4 matches in the pool stages, 2 home, 2 away, but you can't play teams from your own domestic league. The 4 highest ranked clubs in each pool will qualify for the round of 16. 5th will drop into the Challenge Cup at the knockout stage, and the 6th, well, that's it for you for the season. Fixtures in the round of 16 will be set by each club's ranking based on where they finish in their pool and number of match points collected. Finish 1 to 8, you get a home draw, and from then on, it's knockout rugby all the way through to the final in Tottenham. And I'm absolutely thrilled to say I'm being joined by Brian O'Driscoll and Lawrence Delano, who finally made their way into the studio. I mean, 2 gentlemen that know exactly what it takes to win this trophy. Brian, for you, what makes this tournament so special?
I think it's just so hard to win it, isn't it? You think about the great domestic leagues, the top 14, the Gallagher Premiership, you know, the URC, the amalgamation of all 3 of them. It's the very best teams playing against one another. And, you know, what might start out relatively easy for some teams, it gets progressively harder the further you get to knockout stages, and then culminating in what should be a titanic final.
Yeah, absolutely that. So what we've done in this format is we've picked out our key games from each and every pool match, and it all kicked off in Glasgow. Glasgow hosted against Northampton in round 1, and what a game it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's when Northampton really announced themselves as genuine contenders for the competition. If you're going to win this tournament, you've got to be prepared to go away from home, and Glasgow's not an easy start for them. They've been outstanding, Northampton, all season domestically, but it's been a while since they've transferred that onto the European stage. And yeah, a comfortable win, 28 points to 19 for Northampton, and they just announced themselves as genuine contenders.
Yeah, the style of rugby they played in those conditions were absolutely sensational. And in round 1, we also had a mouth-watering tie, didn't we? La Rochelle against Leicester. They played in the last 2 finals. Brian, these 2 teams have a huge amount of history together, don't they?
Yeah, well, when these teams were drawn against one another in the group stage, a lot of people had clenched teeth, certainly in the province of Leinster, been beaten by them in the last 2 finals and the previous year in the semi-final. So did they have the hex on Leinster, or could they go and get one over their nemesis in a very, very difficult place to play in La Rochelle? Thankfully, from a Leinster perspective, it was the latter. They managed to go over there and win in very, very difficult conditions. An attritional game, something that maybe some people have thought has been the Achilles heel of Leinster, where they've been physically dominated by some sides. But Kieran Frawley putting the icing on the cake in confirming victory away from home, and what a great start from the losing finalists against the holders.
Yeah, you can see Ronagara not looking too happy. It's an unfamiliar feeling for him to lose a match. But in the pool stages in round 2, Lawrence, it didn't get any easier because La Rochelle, who lost that opening round, had to travel to Cape Town to take on the Stormers.
They had to travel. It's always difficult to go over there. Many travelling to South Africa for the first time, and they put real pressure on themselves. The Stormers ended up edging what was a superb contest. I think the Venter try right at the end, and then Manny Lebock, who was unceremoniously hooked during the World Cup, remember, when Henri Pollard took over, but he managed to nail the winning kick, and what a lovely moment for him and for the Stormers. La Rochelle losing the first 2 games.
Yeah, unbelievable moment from Manny Lebock. You can see exactly how much it means to him. But all his teammates celebrating out there in the sunshine in Cape Town. So La Rochelle, with their 0 from 2 in unfamiliar territory. Harlequins against Toulouse gave us an opportunity to watch Antoine Dupont live, the likes of Marcus Smith and Danny Kerr. We knew it was going to be a cracking game, didn't we?
Well, on paper, these two teams there's just about scores. It's all about tries. It's about, power game up front from Toulouse against the sophistication of the back play with this Quins side. And we know how good they are at home, but it was the away team that did the vast majority of the quality scoring. And this might have been the pick of the bunch. It was 7 tries for Toulouse in total, but they just have everything in their game. They're the Galacticos of European rugby, 5 trophies to their name, and they were looking for that 6th crown at the end of the year.
That's it. Well, the eye test was pretty sensational. But when you have a look at some of the stats, Brian, metres made 659, 24 clean breaks, 29 defenders beaten. That's beating almost every player twice in the game. 18 offloads.
I think that's the big point of difference, isn't it? And for Quins, you have to put it into perspective. 13 offloads in a game is really impressive by any stretch of the imagination. But 18, it just changes the point of contact. It never allows the defensive line to set, and it's where Toulouse are at their very best when they're doing that. And it's forwards and backs seamlessly. It doesn't matter what number you have on your back. It's so comfortable to them.
So the French team's doing reasonably well, especially if you're Toulouse. But Bordeaux, they wanted to break that stronghold, didn't they, on French rugby, and put in a big performance against Saracens.
They certainly did. And listen, they talked themselves up at the beginning of the season. They specifically recruited. They've got absolute out-and-out finishers, Biel Berry, Damien Penaud, and the quality that they have at halfback in Lucu and Jalibert, I think made them genuine contenders. But they were superb, very, very difficult to beat at home, and very, very impressed with their performance.
Yeah, 55 points against Saracens. They really announced themselves. But round 4 in the pool stages, Munster against Northampton, 2 teams that got a huge amount of history in this competition. It was always going to be a cracker.
Yeah, it was. We all know the history that Munster have in this tournament, how difficult a place Thomond Park is to go and get anything from, but it was a masterclass from Finn Smith. It was a real coming of age from his perspective. He just put his forwards in all of the right parts of the field. He kicked his goals where needed be. That drop goal just to set the tone early on, to make sure with territory and possession that you're coming away with points time and again. And it just frustrated the life out of Munster. They couldn't get any stronghold on the game. And you have to remember, too, all of this was done with 14 men for almost half of the game. Curtis Langdon getting sent off, but it didn't bother Northampton Saints. They just delivered performance after performance, minute after minute, and ground out a brilliant victory against Munster.
Every young player needs a moment. Was that Finn Smith's moment?
Yeah, it definitely felt as though it kind of elevated and projected him onto the international reckoning. It's his first full season with Northampton Saints. Got his feet under the ground, and now he's playing with a confident backline and a pack that are giving him quality possession. So there's definitely big international honours in the future for him.
Yeah, no doubt. From one East Midlands team doing remarkably well to Leicester, well, they hosted Leinster at the Mattioli Woods, Welford Road. It was always going to be a tough affair for the home side, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Leicester going through a bit of a rebuild at the moment. Leinster very much not. Familiar foes. They've come up against each other in this tournament on a number of occasions. And in the end, Leinster, without maybe playing at their very, very best, Caelan Doris gets over for the bonus point try that ensures that Leinster qualify in one of the top 2 seeding places.
Yeah, it's so important to get those top seeding places because it allows you to have home advantage. So, some honourable mentions. Saracens, they had to beat Lyon, didn't they, just to secure that stage into the last 16. And for La Rochelle, having won it the last couple of years, limping their way into the to the knockout rounds. Not that familiar with them, is it?
No, it sure wasn't. I'm sure there was a few teams out there that were cheering on any opposition against La Rochelle, wanting the 2-time holders to be gone from the competition at the earliest stage. They had other ideas. They were going to limp into that round of 16 and nobody was going to want to get them. Home or away, they were a side that could have taken on anyone.
Yeah, exactly. So let's have a look now how the pool stages ended, starting with Pool 1. So as we've already seen and confirmed, Porto Begler only dropping 3 points right throughout that stage, which is absolutely remarkable. Don't forget, 5th team in each and every one of these pools makes it into the Challenge Cup knockout rounds, and unfortunately in Pool 1, Bristol Bears, well, it's sayonara for them for this year. Northampton absolutely flying the flag, as well as Exeter in that. Toulon, a year for them not to forget. But as you can see there, Toulouse, Harlequins, Bath, Racing qualified in Pool 2, and in that final pool, Leinster, well, they were absolutely sensational alongside Stormers, La Rochelle and Leicester snuck in. Sale make their way into the Challenge Cup, and Stade Francais, well, they are done for this year. So that's it for the group stages. So it means that we have the opportunity to look back and hand out some awards. First award we're going to hand out for the breakthrough player. So let's have a look at some of for the nominees. We have Finn Smith, Louis Biel-Barry, who, what a year he's had. Nolan Le Garrec, who also got himself a call-up to the French national squad, and Alfie Barbary and his set of veneers as well. Gentlemen, where does your votes go?
Yeah, Biel-Barry, very impressive. Really good World Cup campaign with France, emergence onto the international stage and picking up where he left off in the World Cup with 3 group stage tries. But for me, the find of the group stages was Finn Smith. He just emerged as a cooling, calm influence on his team, put them in the right parts of the field in important games. And yeah, the best of Northampton Saints is being dictated by him.
Do you agree, Lawrence?
Absolutely. I mean, at 22 years of age as well, you know, that's some performance across the whole tournament, particularly in the performances away from home. Glasgow and Munster, outstanding.
Yeah, Finn Smith, you make it through as our breakthrough player of the year. I'm sure he'll be wanting higher runners than just that in itself, the upset of the group stages, because we had some remarkable matches, and our nominees are Stormers beating La Rochelle. By the way, when I say upset the group stages, they're your words, Brian and Lawrence, not mine, because some of these might be offended at that. Exeter beating Toulon away, Harlequins against Racing, Bayonne beating the Chiefs, and Exeter beating Munster. Which one of those are the most outstanding upsets of the
Well, I'll go first this time. It's difficult to choose, really, but from my own experience, and I'm sure Brian might agree, winning away in France is tough, right? So, given how well Toulon are going this season, maybe it's one of those games that we forgot about because it happened in round 1. But I think for Exeter to go away to Toulon, to hang in there somehow, defensively, you know you've got to be big. And then I think, what was it, Vermeulen scored the try, then Henry Slade, who's been one of the players of the season, comes up with a clutch kick at the end. So, for me, Exeter Chiefs away at Toulon.
With a young squad as well. For you?
Nothing to add to that. That literally says it all. Winning away from home is where you get the respect of the opposition in Europe. Everyone's expected to win at home, but away from home, places like Mayall, if you can do that, then you must be a half-decent team.
Yeah, well, Exeter Chiefs and their young squad really been spearheaded by Henry Slade. What an unbelievable match and moment that was. But stay with us, because after the break, we're going to be delving into the knockout rounds. That's right, we're into the round of 16. So we'll see you in just a few minutes' time. Welcome back to the story of the Champions Cup. We're at the round of 16 stage. So just to confirm the fixtures, Toulouse host Racing, Exeter take on Bath in the all-English affair. Bordeaux Bléguer, who's absolutely flying, take on the Gallagher Premiership champions in Saracens. Harlequins host Glasgow, Leinster against Leicester, another repeat of a game that we saw earlier. Stormers take on La Rochelle. Northampton against Munster, and round one, that was absolutely sensational. And the Bulls against Lyon. So, gents, we're seeing a lot of repeat fixtures, but that did not take away from some of the drama and some of the quality that we saw. And that all started and kicked off at the Stoop when Harlequins hosted Glasgow.
Yeah, a little bit closer for comfort than Quins would have liked. This one went right down to the wire. Sam Riley scoring the all-important try that managed to forge Quins ahead, and they stayed there for the next closing out minutes and relief from those Quins players.
Yeah, listen, the Bulls, I mean, it's so difficult to go away to South Africa and win, but they really put themselves up there as genuine contenders. 9 tries in total, including this one, which was one of the tries of the tournament. 59 points to 19.
Again, a repeat of the group stages between Stormers and La Rochelle. Stormers starting really hot again. You just wondered, was it going to be a repeat? But Manny Lebock, unfortunately, could not repeat his heroics in the group stage, hooking this one wide and left. That was going to be the match-winning kick. It wasn't to be. La Rochelle through.
And down at Sandy Park, it was an all-West Country affair. Always going to be tight. These teams very familiar with each other. Finn Russell going off injured, and although Bath were winning at half-time, 2 tries, one from Fizzolau, one from Roots, saw Exeter Chiefs home and a big win.
And Bordeaux leaving off where they left the group stages, absolutely dominating Saracens once again. 6 tries this time, very, very good team performance from them. So hard to beat at home in the top 14 and now in the Champions Cup as well, and coasting through to the knockout stage round quarter-final.
Yeah, and again, sides that had already played each other, but Leinster in far better form. Jamison Gibson-Park scored a hat-trick in this game, and he was really the difference between the sides. Emphatic win for Leinster.
Yet another repeat group match. This time it was in Northampton in Franklin's Gardens. George Hendy with 2 second-half tries arcing around. This one was close at half-time, 14-all, but Northampton Saints prevailing.
And again, an all-French affair. Familiar opponents. Toulouse against Racing, and just utterly, utterly dominant. 5 tries in all for Toulouse and 31 points to 7. And Racing dispatched, really, and Toulouse showing how strong they are.
So after round of 16, confirmation of our quarter-final matches. 2 games in France, 1 in England and 1 in Ireland. Brian, any surprises from the teams at this stage?
Obviously, the emergence of the South African teams, the Bulls getting through to knockout stages for the first time. Bordeaux showed, real quality in the group stages, so no surprise there. But we've had 5 previous winners coming through, so it's some of the same old faces. Repeatedly knowing how to get to the knockout stages. Could they get any further?
Yeah, exactly that. So confirmation of the quarterfinals, as we can see here. Toulouse take on Exeter. Toulouse chasing their 6th star against the former champions Exeter. Bordeaux have been flying at home, take on Harlequins. Leinster against La Rochelle again. And the Northampton Saints up against the Bulls. Lawrence, some brilliant lineups here, but on my word, what a game we got down in Bordeaux.
Absolutely, it was probably one of the games of the tournament. Given Bordeaux's home record, I don't think anyone necessarily expected Harlequins to win. And you heard them in the lead up to the game. They're just going to go out there and play the Harlequins way, and that's exactly what they did. This was a game that had momentum swings one way, then the other. Incredible fixture. I thought that Bordeaux certainly probably thought that they'd snatched it. Luku had an opportunity this was in the 76th minute, to nudge them in front. It just went the other side of the right-hand upright, and Quins held on for probably their best victory, in the history of the European Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the first time Harlequins ever won a proper knockout match in the Champions Cup, and they did it with drama, didn't they?
It was brilliant. It was just the way that they started the game, the intent and the purpose they played with. and they weren't going to fold under the pressure or the lack of expectation. There was going to be no capitulation, and they just kept on going. Even when Bordeaux clawed their way back into it, they were like, not today.
Cracking game, and we got another cracking game in Dublin as well. Leinster against La Rochelle, another repeat of that final.
Yeah, another repeat of the two previous finals, the semi-final the year before that. So 4 years on the bounce, finding one another in the knockout stages. Finally, Leinster getting one past their nemesis. And it wasn't until the James Lowe second try on the hour mark that I think everybody breathed a sigh of relief. Even that great La Rochelle team weren't going to come back from that deficit.
No, definitely not. Northampton took on the Bulls, and a lot of the conversation, the build-up to the game, was about the players not playing for the Bulls, but that certainly didn't put Northampton out of their stride at all, did it?
Yeah, this game for the Bulls came at a time where their domestic season was maybe compromising their selection, but Saints, having played so well in the pool stages, I think really used the home advantage, and they ended up absolutely demolishing it. 31 unanswered points in that second half. They were very, very impressive, Saints.
Very impressive. But I guess one of the best compliments you could give them is their style and their consistency of how they've really gone and attacked, something I know you really appreciate.
Yeah, and I think Chris Boyd has built the great foundations there, and Phil Dowson and Sam Vesti have come in and just layered on top of it. And I think from an attack point of view, they're one of the most potent in the Gallagher Premiership, and now looking as though they're one of the most potent in European rugby too.
Yeah, so we've got 3 quarterfinals played at this stage, 2 home victories. Were we going to get a away victory from Exeter as they went to Toulouse, Lawrence?
Well, again, a bit like Harlequins, no one expected them to win. And in this case, they didn't. Because, I mean, Toulouse were just something else. They start games incredibly well, Toulouse. And that, I think, you know, the only way you're going to beat them is if you're going to stop that. I think they score more tries in the opening quarter of a game than any other side. They just go for it. With that crowd behind them, they really ran the legs off of Exeter, didn't they? And I think by the end of the game, Brian, although Exeter scored a few tries of their own, it was just an unbelievable demolition job by Toulouse.
Yeah, just their power and pace. It was actually, 7 second-half tries they scored. Exeter Chiefs hung in there for the first half, but were dead on their feet. And when you have the calibre that they have on their bench to bring on as well, full of internationals, they just don't get beaten in Toulouse very often. I think 2 years now since their last defeat.
Yeah, it's remarkable. When you look at the Final Four, who would you say were the favourites going into the semi-finals at this stage?
I think on the back of that demolition of Exeter Chiefs, you just felt that Toulouse were the team that maybe they obviously were going to get a home country semi-final, going to be very difficult. And just the form that they were playing in, compared to when they won it 3 years ago, it feels like this is an elevated Toulouse squad. But others snapping at their heels.
And look, if you'd have said, who do you think will make the semi-finals at the beginning of the tournament, I think the names of Toulouse and Leinster would have been in there. If you'd have added Quins and Saints in there, I'm not so sure. Given the Gallagher Premiership's club's performance in this competition in recent years, I think those two have done outstandingly well to be in those semi-finals.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable route. And you also look at Leinster, having played La Rochelle the last 2 finals, so beaten them twice, just to get to a semi-final point this time. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It's been an incredible journey for them. Listen, they're synonymous now with this tournament, and they've had their celebrations, they've had their heartaches in recent years, but the resilience really to keep coming back, dispatching La Rochelle this time around and making it through to another semi-final. Awesome.
Yeah, it's certainly been awesome, that's for sure. The quarterfinals, well, they never failed to deliver. The semi-finals on absolutely locked and loaded. We'll have the best of the action after this short break. Welcome back to the story of the Champions Cup. We're at semi-final stages now. The semi-finalists are locked and loaded. Toulouse, the 5-time champions, takes on Harlequins, who make it into the first ever semi-final. And Leinster against Northampton. These teams have history in this competition. And what a game that was. When you look at the 2 semi-finalists, it's entertainment written everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 great teams, 2 great matchups. Sides that like to play.
Yeah.
Probably have that kind of Kevin Keegan, Newcastle United mindset of you score 3, we score 4. Defence is important, but not vital. So it's something that viewers could properly get behind because you knew there were going to be fireworks.
Exactly that. And from an English perspective, Lawrence, everyone's spoken about the reduction of the salary cap. English teams might not be able to compete at this stage, but having 2 Gallagher Premiership teams at the semi-finals, massive props to them.
Yeah, it was. And, 2 teams that maybe haven't featured in those, knockout stages for quite some time. So, real quality. I think it shows that no matter how much your squad cap is in terms of finances, I think if you win your home games and you give yourself knockout, home matches, anything and everything is possible in this tournament.
Yeah, Leinster against Northampton, massive game, and it really delivered, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did. When you look at the quality of the 2 teams, obviously Leinster have recent history. Northampton, it's a long time since they won their only title back nearly 25 years ago, but it was all Leinster in the first half. James Lowe with a brace, but the only area they didn't really capitalise was on the scoreboard. Yeah, they had all the possession and all the stats and they scored the tries, but they didn't knock over their kicks, and actually that kept Northampton Saints in the game into the second half.
Brian, we knew it was a massive occasion, didn't we? But made even more special because it was played at Croke Park, which feels like the spiritual sporting home of Ireland, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is. It's the home of Gaelic games, our national sport, Gaelic football and hurling, amateur sports. But throughout the summer, throughout the championship, you will see hundreds of thousands of people gracing that hallowed turf. And we were lucky enough as players back in 2007 to be allowed play there. It was such a monumental moment in Irish history. And now for rugby to be allowed play back there again is amazing for these players to get that opportunity to play in a stadium that's steeped in history, but they would have also gone as fans watching their respective counties, I'm sure, over the course of their early years.
A great day made even more special. And so was it going to be as well when Toulouse took on the mighty Harlequins. We knew it was going to be a fast-flowing, expressive game.
Unbelievable. I mean, I guess if you're a Quinn supporter, you're used to watching games where, it's up and down, isn't it? They just go out, all-out attacks. 6 tries to 4, 6 from Toulouse, 5 in that first half. And that was probably what made life very difficult for Quins. Toulouse just came out of the blocks, 2 tries from Anton Dupont, no less, but so much quality, particularly in their back 3. And they got themselves off to a flyer. Credit Quins, they looked like they were down and out. Many would have capitulated, but they came back with a couple of second-half tries of their own, got themselves to within 5 points, and unfortunately that yellow card maybe to Jack Walker at the end just saw Toulouse home. You
could see the relief with that Malia try with 12, 13 minutes to go because they were rattled. Quins had really put it to them and the momentum was with them, but the yellow card really hurt them.
Yeah, but we now have got the final that I think a lot of people wanted. Leinster against Toulouse, 2 of the most decorated sides going head-to-head.
Yeah, listen, they were going for that elusive 5th star, and it was Toulouse that just pipped them to it. So I think Leinster have been on a journey, haven't they? Toulouse, obviously domestic champions, but got knocked out before the final, and you almost felt like this was their target, to get to the final and to try and win a 6th star. Yeah, and there we have it. We can absolutely say for certain that it is going to be Toulouse, the home side, taking on Leinster, 2 of the most decorated sides and 2 of the greatest sides, not just in Europe, but potentially on the planet. 24 teams have made their way down into 2, and all eyes and roads led to Tottenham.
And it's all eyes on Tottenham as the Investec Champions Cup rolls into town. Reports of empty streets as fans flock to North London.
So, stop what you're doing. If you can't be here, stay in front of your TV. It is the Investec Champions Cup final. Where else would you rather be?
The
two best teams this competition has ever known.
9 trophies between them.
It's Toulouse, European champions once again. Leinster, the Continental Kings. Oh, it's champagne stuff from Toulouse. Test rugby in club colours. And in a city where magic happens, in a tournament where magic happens. Two teams who can do magical things. London's calling.
So the stage is set for the Investec Champions Cup final. It's Tottenham, and the tournament that started in Glasgow descends and makes its way to North London. Two great teams, 9 European titles for what should be a game of the ages.
European royalty, both Champions Cup royalty. Undeniably the two teams who've done the most to elevate this tournament to where it is today. Marvaca's safe throw to Francois Cross.
Wrong side, 12 on the wrong side.
Kicking to the south end. And Toulouse ahead early on. Now Henshaw, Lama not far away.
And it's the advantage offside.
Cuts the gap. Half-time in the Investec Champions Cup final. Leinster 6, Toulouse 9. Leinster on the charge. Penalty Leinster. Leinster level with 2 minutes to go. In the 80th minute of the final.
Frawley sat in the pocket, directing his forwards. Wants to be bang in front of the sticks, but he wants a little bit closer. Now he's back in position.
Gibson Park, Frawley for all the world!
Just pulled it. He's just pulled
the
it
noise
off to the
tells you
left.
again. And for only the 3rd time in this competition's history, we are heading to extra time. Chocobares and Lebel has got a run in. This might be the first try in the final. A biggie. The pond skater, Matisse Lebel, finally digging for silver. Josh van der Fleer, off he goes. Van der Fleer.
He's got it.
Deep into extra time at the end of extra time. And the whistle to end another thunderous final. Toulouse stargazing. They can stitch a sixth on the shirt.
We had to take over 100 minutes to separate these two sides. Did the final live up to all the hype, Brian?
I think it did, as a spectacle. The intensity felt like it was test match quality versus maybe some of the skill levels at times, particularly from Leinster, but from an excitement point of view, it had everything. Bar any tries in the first 80 minutes. But it didn't feel as though we missed them. Yeah. There was just so much going on, the ferocity at the ruck, the intensity, the fitness levels of these supreme athletes really came to the fore, and it was nail-biting stuff for both sets of fans.
It certainly was, picking up on that point. It probably wasn't the final we were expecting. Two free-flowing teams that have an ability to score loads of tries, but nonetheless, equally as gripping, wasn't it?
It was equally as gripping. I mean, Toulouse, the hallmark of their performances throughout the competition is they've gone out and attacked and blown sides away. Actually, when you look back and reflect on this game, it's Leinster that will be kicking themselves because they had the attacking play, they had the lion's share of the opportunities, particularly, across the 80 minutes. And it was really Toulouse who were defensively outstanding. And whereas all the way up to the final, it's been Toulouse's attack that's won them games. I think it was their defence, their work at the breakdown. And Leinster will look back on this, that yes, they've had heartache over recent years, but this one will probably hurt the most, in my opinion, because they had enough chances to really get themselves ahead on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Maybe similar to the semi-final against Northampton, they just couldn't get scoreboard pressure.
Yeah, and you mentioned opportunities, and it feels harsh because the narrative could have been totally different had this drop goal gone over just before the 80.
And in many ways, I don't know if Leinster properly deserved it. They put themselves in a position to give themselves a shot. It's a really good contact from Kieran Frawley. Some question marks. Did he hit it a bit too early? Could he have maybe gotten a little bit closer to the post? But it was a pure strike.
Oh.
Unfortunately, it just went straight at that outside post and grazed it on the way by. And it was heartbreak, albeit it wasn't over, it wasn't done. They still had another 20 minutes to try and get that victory, but could have been the hero forever.
It's brutal. Those are the margins when we talk about elite rugby, aren't they, Lawrence?
They are. And, as Brian said, when you're winding down the clock and you know that you've probably got one opportunity to win it, maybe, Leinster, they're not synonymous. I mean, maybe now Johnny Sexton's gone. They've never been synonymous with winning games with a drop goal, are they really? So maybe they're just out of practice. But we wanted the game to go to extra time.
You're well used to that from 2003, but either way, it's Toulouse that managed to stitch a 6-star into their jersey. And my word, what a performance. The likes of Antoine Dupont and the rest of the team were absolutely sensational on the day, weren't they?
They were, Dupont. I mean, look, he's such a humble guy for what he's achieved in the game so far at 27 years of age. I mean, what he's able to bring from the training field actually into his performance was outstanding. A couple of the 50-22s. Look, there's only ever two emotions in sport. You win or you lose. And in a final, there's no drawing. And, I mean, he was distraught, Gibson Park. Probably one of the outstanding performers. Leo Cullen reflecting there on what could have been. But I just thought, Antoine Dupont picks up the credit, but they were hanging in there. And the performance of Jack Willis, particularly at the breakdown, outstanding. And Toulouse, they're out there on their own with 6.
That's 8 European finals for Leinster. They won the first 4, and then they've lost the second 4. So it's quite stark in contrast between, we know get to finals, we win them. All of a sudden, you're in finals, can't get over the line, can't get it done. So it's continuing to build, but all you can do is put yourself repeatedly in the position to get a little bit of lady luck, to get a bit of good fortune, to have a little bit of X factor that can be the difference in a final.
Yeah, absolutely. His name's already been mentioned because we talk about him every single time he plays. Antoine Dupont, he was voted Investec Champions Cup Player of the Season. That was an independent as well as a little bit of public vote. However, Lawrence and Brian, you now have your chance to cast your vote on this sofa. Are you looking anywhere else apart from the little magician?
I think if we saw before the final, I think Jameson Gibson Park has been in the conversation with Antoine Dupont as one of the best 9s in the world, and maybe if he had really shone in the final, he would have put his hand up for that honour. But the quality of the performance from Antoine Dupont in every aspect of play, and for me, comfortably Investec Champions Cup Player of the Year on the basis of what we saw in that final.
Is he the greatest player of our generation?
I think he is, without doubt. You listen to some of the Toulouse players talk about the way he is in training and what he does there. We don't even see the half of it. He has achieved so much in a short space of time, and you judge and measure people on their impact in games, and every time he plays the game, whatever game it is, whether it's 7s, 15s, his impact, both sides of the ball. Look at this turnover. He'd probably given the pass, but his willingness to get back, the 2 50-22s on point, and his influence on the game was outstanding. Nearly scored the opening try of the match, but at key moments came up with the key plays. And not only has he been the player of this tournament. I think he's probably, at the age of 27, if not regarded now as the greatest player of all time, he certainly will be.
So there you have it. We have confirmation Antoine Dupont is not only the greatest player of our generation, but he's also confirmed as the Investec Champions Cup player of the season. Well, award season continues at the end of this brilliant Investec Champions Cup campaign. So we're going to turn our attention to the director of rugby. And our three nominees for this season, unsurprisingly, are Phil Dowson, Leo Cullen, and a man that shares my name, Ugo Moller, the Toulouse head coach. Brian O'Driscoll, Lawrence Delano here to decide who's the winner. Where's your money going?
No shocks, the two finalists getting director of rugby there. You know, they've obviously gotten to another final in Leo Cullen's case. Ugo Moller did it 3 seasons ago. But Phil Dowson, the rugby that Northampton Saints have played, the emergence of him as a DOR, I think he gets my vote.
OK, Phil Dowson, how about you, Lawrence?
Yeah, can't argue with that. But really, it's about setting records. And Toulouse, you know, going on and achieving what they've achieved in this tournament, I think Ugo Moller probably gets it for me.
I don't know how the two of you end up deciding between yourselves, but we need one now. Who's it going to be?
Listen, I get it. Winners.
Yeah, I mean, six star, right? So it's got to...
I like the emergence of the next generation coming through, but the here and now, I'll side with Lawrence on this one and go with Ugo Moller.
OK, so Ugo Moller is our director of the tournament with a severe commendation to Phil Dowson. Moment of the tournament, and there were so many magical moments, but this one here, Will Skelton looking out for the injured player and Harlequins upsetting against Bordeaux. One was a great match, one was a great moment. Brian.
Yeah, I think what we always think about the values of the game and honour and respect, and you know, particularly when a player is injured on the ground, as Morat was. It was a lovely moment to see Will Skelton. He had a big enough frame to be able to protect them from the whole side. So you know, he might as well use it effectively. You use it effectively in the physical. Well, he did it another time.
He certainly did.
Yeah, I think it was the second Rose Club, wasn't it? If you want protecting, Will Skelton is your man. And as you said, Quinn's magnificent performance over in Bordeaux. If there was an award for upset of the tournament, it'd be that. But moment of the tournament, Will Skelton.
OK, absolutely. We also saw some unbelievable tries right across this year, so we're now looking for our try of the tournament. Here are our nominees. We've got Blair Kinghorn up against Exeter, Papier versus Lyon, Hendy against Munster, and Leo Barrett against Leicester, Louis Liner against Ulster. We'll have a look at the Kinghorn try. What about this try did you really appreciate and like, Brian?
I just think it was everything that is good about Toulouse. It's the footwork, the handling, the power where it needs be, but that offload from Paul Coste, I think he's been a real find for this Toulouse team.
And this one, Lawrence, Papier against Lyon, superb, wasn't it?
Yeah, listen, whenever you go the length of the field, it's always going to be up there as one of the tries of the tournament. You've got to say, it's not the best sort of tackling from Lyon, but take nothing away, from the South African team. The way that they've moving the ball in fantastic conditions, hard grounds, fast track, and look at this, just constantly changing the focus. Beautiful little step there at the end, and pretty good
Brian, I know you're a
celebration
massive
too.
fan of this one. This is
what a try. I think that this is the best of Northampton Saints, attacking from deep. The quality of their catch pass is on a different level than most teams in this European competition, and their back three have been absolutely sensational this season.
And how about this from Leo Barrett against Leicester, Lawrence?
Yeah, starts off with that audacious reverse pass, and listen, this was a game that went right to the wire, really, and beautiful little chip and chase. Gathers his own kick, and has got the pace to outscore. So another worldie from Leo Barrett.
Well, from Leo to Louis, and this was magic once again from Louis.
Well, you can never turn your back on Quins. We know that. Ulster do, and they paid the price because they're happy to go from wherever. If it's on, it's on. From your own goal line, from anywhere on the field, and Lewis Lina picked up an all-important try in that game.
Yeah, massive. 5 brilliant tries there. But, Lawrence, which one's your favourite?
I think the Hendy try for Northampton, in terms of its execution, in terms of the quality of everything involved, that for me is the number one.
With a notable mention for Leo Barret, length of the field, chip, regather, needed it to stay in the game, but I'm happy to go with Henry.
Yeah, a brilliant campaign from Northampton Saints, and what a try that was as well. Player of the tournament, the one that everyone wants. We got 4 nominees for this one. Antoine Dupont, who was named the Investec Champions Cup Player of the Tournament. Jameson Gibson Park, Caelan Doris, and Jack Willis, the Englishman playing abroad. Brian.
For me, this one was right in the balance till the final. You know, who was going to come out on top, and it was the easiest selection after 80 minutes in the end, as far as I'm concerned. Great performance from Jack Willis in the final. But for me, Antoine Dupont remains the best player in the world by some stretch, and he delivered a performance for the ages.
Yeah, Jack Willis, 29 tackles in the final. He was sensational. But any disagreement with
No, not at all. Listen, it was two backs, 2 forwards in the final shake-up. In the words of Jack Willis, what you see Antoine Dupont do in games is one thing. What he does in training is quite something else. Without doubt, the best player in the world, and certainly our player of the tournament.
Yeah, Antoine Dupont and Toulouse. Well, Toulouse with a 6-star. Antoine Dupont with yet another trophy. The man's not even 30. Did the tournament give you everything that you expected it would, Brian?
Yeah, I think it was a brilliant tournament. I think it really ignited when it got to the round of 16. I think the group stages, it's a bit up for debate still as to whether it's the quality that it had in previous years. But I think having that additional knockout stage in round of 16 and then elevating the quality of those teams forward from quarterfinals to semi-finals to finals, we got the final, I think, that many people anticipated, and it didn't let us down.
No, it really didn't, did it, Lawrence?
No, it didn't. Listen, there were surprises all the way along. There were some heroic performances, both individually and collectively. I think from the knockout stages onwards, this is just a quite unbelievable tournament. It just built and built and built, as you said, to the climax in that final.
Yeah, another unbelievable season of Investec Champions Cup rugby. That's fully delivered, whether it be matches, whether it be players and moments in between. Thank you for joining us along that journey as well. For Toulouse, will they add a 6-star to that famous red and black jersey? And next year, no doubts, we'll be doing it all over again. And we look forward to having your company.